Well, hi there everybody. It's Tiffany with Ready Set Crop. Thanks for joining me in the virtual craft room for my live process video. Hi Gail, happy Thursday. I am going to be doing a Halloween layout tonight. So, pull out my supplies here. I've got two photos from Monday night. I was working at the library handing out treat bags. I made 300 treat bags that I handed out. And I was dressed as a unicorn. So I'm going to do kind of a fun rainbow unicorn layout tonight. I'm going to show you all the supplies, but before I do that, I am going to just grab this white cardstock and I'm going to set this stuff aside. I'm going to be doing some mixed media tonight, and this is just a plain piece of cardstock. If you're doing mixed media, you're doing any kind of watercolor, painting, inking, that kind of thing, on watercolor paper or Bristol board or something like that, that's fine. But I'm just using regular cardstock. So I'm going to use a little bit of gesso to treat my paper. Oops, that's a lot of bit of gesso. I'm going to be doing this half, like I'm imagining a diagonal line here. I'm doing this half of my paper. So I've just got a palette knife here. You could use an old credit card or like one of those freebie credit cards that come in the mail. And I'm just doing a very thin layer of gesso. This is white gesso on white cardstock. You can also buy it in clear, so if you're doing it on colored paper. The importance of this is going to keep the ink or the paint or whatever you're using on top of your paper rather than absorbing into your cardstock, because my cardstock otherwise will kind of bubble up and warp. It's a very thin layer. All right, I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'll show you what items I'm using. So like I said, I've got these two photos from Halloween, and because I was a unicorn and I was wearing rainbow stuff, I wanted to do something rainbow watercolory for this. So I grabbed a bunch of cards from the Sun Rays for Days collection that had some rainbows in it. I knew there were some bright colors, so I grabbed those cards. This one, I think I'm going to cut out the cloud and use that for my title. And then I will probably use this rainbow stripe. So I've got those. Now, I was planning on taking out my Haunted Happenings collection to use for my layout, obviously, because it's a Halloween layout. However, apparently I sold it. I must have sold my last one. I didn't have any in my little store on my porch. So I dug through my other collections and I found this cool paper that's like a really pale gray with some charcoal dots. This is from the Our Moments collection. And the other side is this black textury paper. So this will work well for what I'm doing. This is the Our Moments collection here. I also grabbed the black collegiate letters that came out with the Back to School collection, and a piece of gray paper if I need that for matting my photos. So I'm going to start just by trimming down my photos and getting those on mats. And this will be a good way to show, you know, if you're not super into Halloween stuff, you can still make a great Halloween layout without getting all super Halloweeny. All right, I'm gonna lay these on gray paper first, just to give them a little bit of a mat. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. She has been silent all evening until this moment. Something outside has upset her and now she's barking like crazy. I don't know if you can hear her. She's driving me a little bonkers. She's upset about something. So as you can tell, I am pretty much up to date on my scrapping since I am scrapping something that happened on Monday. My kids are older. I don't have a lot of stuff going on with them anymore, so it's mostly just an album about things that I'm doing. And so I am pretty current with what I am working on. I still have some things from 2022 that I haven't done yet, or sorry, 2021. I have a few pages here and there, but not too many. All right, this one, I said I was gonna only be watercoloring on half of my paper. And that's because the other half is going to be this pattern. Now, I am just going to eyeball and cut across the center here. There's certainly better ways to do this, but I'm not too concerned about it being perfect. So I'm just gonna eyeball and go from corner to corner. I'm gonna set those aside. And I'm gonna pull out my cardstock. Oh, not yet. I gotta do my spiders. Okay, so I've got the spiderweb frame punch, and I am going to cut some spider webs. This is a strip of watercolor paper, and I'm using watercolor paper because I'm going to be watercoloring with it, and I thought this would work best. So I'm going to, I started on the silver line here, and I'm just matching up my spider webs. As I punch them, I'm just moving it down and matching it up with the picture that's on the base there. Gail, did you do any trick-or-treating? Anybody out there do any trick-or-treating or anything? Like I said, my kids are in college. I wasn't trick-or-treating, but I got to hand out candy at the library, so that was nice. Because I love Halloween. What I love is getting to see all the kids dress up and all the families and everything. All right, so I've got my long strip of spider webs here. I'm gonna flip this upside down, and I'm gonna put it back in, matching up on that silver line that I just punched on. Oh, I just punched that off for some reason. Well, I don't know why that happened. Well, that is not right. I'm gonna have to try that again. I did it earlier and it came out fine. Let me try it again. Hold on. All right, so here's my piece of gesso paper. This one I punched out earlier. I don't know what I did just now, but when I punched it out earlier, this is how it came out. This has already been watercolored on, but you can see it's just a line of spider webs. I'll have to try it again. I'm pretty sure I flipped it upside down so that the spider webs lined up. No trick-or-treaters either, Gail? That's a bummer. I was worried because I'm, in a new place now and I'm on a very busy road and I've never lived on a busy road before. So I was kind of worried that there'd be a lot of trick-or-treaters and I wouldn't be here to hand out candy, but I came home and my street was quiet. So I'm not sure where everybody goes in my town, but not on my street. Okay, so I'm gonna lay down, I put repositionable tape on the back of my spider webs. I'm gonna lay them down on the cardstock. And now I'm gonna grab, starting with red, I'm gonna do a rainbow. So I'm gonna load up my brush with water and then fill up my brush with paint. This is just a basic watercolor set. And I'm going to do the rainbow, so I'm starting with the red, and I'm going right over my spider web. And you could use this technique with any punch. So if you have some other punch and you want to try this, you're not doing a Halloween layout, This would work with any punch. I'm basically using it as a stencil. And I'm just kind of pouncing my paint on top of the stencil because I want to try to not get the paint underneath the stencil. It's not going to be perfect. This is very artsy, messy. You know, that's my style. That's how I do things. All right, so there's the red. I'm going to carefully peel this up. And there, I've got a little bit of a spider web. And like I said, this is going to be kind of artsy, messy, and that's okay. Now, the next time I'm going to layer this down again, but I'm going to offset it from the previous layer. And I'm not worried about going all the way to the edge because I'm doing this at a diagonal. So now I'm going to load up my brush with water again. And I'm going to grab the orange. And I'm going to just pounce orange on here. And it's going to kind of blend in with the color above it, which is fine. And it's going to blend in with the color that's already on my punch because that red is already on there. So that's going to do a little blending too. Make sure I got enough orange everywhere. All right, and I'm going to carefully peel this again. And now I'm going to lay it down, and again, I'm offsetting. So it's going to be kind of the same lineup as when it was the red layer. So Gail, you're out in the middle of nowhere, so no trick-or-treaters coming to you, huh? All right, I'm gonna do the same thing with my yellow. Now the good thing about watercolor is it does dry pretty fast, so I will be able to put my layout together pretty easily. You could certainly set this aside to dry if you were worried about how wet it was. You could hit it with the heat gun too. All right, I'm just keeping an eye on my angle here, making sure I've got enough. So it's kind of going like that. All right, so that's my yellow. I'm gonna grab a towel. Hold on. I'm just going to dab the top of my punch here just to get any excess off. And now I'm going to grab the green. Do this green here. And just pouncing that right on top of the spider web. The more water you use, the more diluted your color is. So if you want a real saturation of color, you know, less water. I am really going for the watercolor look. So I am kind of refilling my brush every time with water. So again, I got my line. Okay, that's good for the green. Lift this up. And lay it down here. I'm going to give it another pat to just pick up any of that excess. And now I'm going to dip into the blue. I think I'll do this blue here. So this is obviously not going to be your typical Halloween layout, but I thought it would be fun to show you, using this spider web, but something unexpected. And as always, my videos are posted on the Ready Set Crop page after I am done the live, so you can always watch the replay. If you're not able to catch my lives, you can watch them anytime. It's getting really saturated, so I'm just gonna clean it up a bit before I lay it down. Turn it around. So now I'm going to do purple. I'll do this dark purple. It's kind of a long process. I appreciate you hanging in with me for this. Don't have to do much of the purple. I'll lay this down. Give it a quick dab. And I'm going to grab this like kind of purplish pinkish color for the last layer. All right. So very messy, artsy looking, but I just kind of wanted that subtle look of the spider web. So now I'm going to take my black and white polka dot here, and I'm going to adhere that to this section here. I should have gotten my heat gun out, and I didn't. So normally I would give this a good dry with the heat gun or set it aside to dry. So it's not too wet though. So I'm going to put down this corner piece. There we go. And now, before I started the video, I cut out the spiders from a black piece of cardstock. So I'm just going to trim that. And I'm going to leave a little bit of extra on the side so that I can have something to use to adhere it down. And my photos are going to go kind of right here. So I'm going to cut this in half because you're not going to see that piece. So this way I can have this going all the way to the ends, and my photos can cover up right here. So I'm going to put adhesive on that little strip that I left, and I'm going to tuck it right under my polka dots. I love the black and the white against the rainbow. I think that's really cool. Very bold. And then if you have stuff hanging off the edge, just flip it over and trim that excess off. All right, I'm going to grab my photos. So I had these two here, but remember I pulled those cards because I want to mat them on some rainbow cards. So I have these here. I'm going to put it on this part. So see, that's covering up that empty spot there. You could certainly, if you were filling up this, if you wanted spider webs all the way around, just punch more of them. But I am kind of filling in that spot, so it's absolutely fine. I'm gonna grab a piece of foam, put that behind my photos. And I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the backs. And I'm going to lay both of these on the foam so that it becomes one element that I can easily move. And now I can peel the adhesive backing off that whole piece. Oops. Oh! I'm getting stuck to the foam and the pictures haven't dried quite yet. That's all right. Put this down. There we go. Everybody still with me? I am just going to fussy cut this cloud because this is going to be my title, my journaling. And I went on to Pinterest earlier and I just typed in unicorn sayings, and there were a ton of phrases and sayings and things you could cut out. You know, there were SVGs that you could cut out on your silhouette. So I was just looking for title ideas and found a bunch of different options because I wanted something to go with my unicorn costume. And I'm going to put that right on this cloud. Because clouds and rainbows, they go together. Spiderwebs, not so much, but that's okay. So I can tuck that right under there. That's cute. Okay, I'm going to grab... Thanks, Gail. It's coming along. You know, the beginning part, you were probably wondering, what the heck is she doing with these spiders and the watercolors? I've had this idea in my head for a few days now, so I'm happy that it actually came out the way I was hoping. So my title is going to be Stay Magical. I'm going to get that tucked under there. And I'm going to spell out the word magical first. Let's see. It's always a trick to find all the letters. M. If you're ever spelling something tricky, or even if it's not tricky, sometimes just, you know, going from your head to stickers is tricky. I always write it down on a piece of paper. That way I can kind of follow along. I don't know how many times I have missed a letter on a basic word, but you're just, you know, going along and you're like, oh yeah, the next letter is I, and no, it's not, it's G. And so it's always good to just write it down. Especially if it's something that is, you know, you're working on it from the center out because you want it to be centered, or you're working on it from the right over because you want it to be justified over to the right. you know, sometimes it's really tricky to spell a word backwards. And double check, if you're not a great speller, double check it before you put it on your paper. Is this the L? Yeah, I guess it is. Oh, see, I almost forgot the A. It's hard to talk and spell at the same time. Oh, thanks, Gail. I really wanted to use the spiderweb punch. I had it and I was trying to think of what the heck I was going to use it for. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily go with this layout, but it's Halloween and I'm giving out candy, so we can use spider webs, that's fine. Okay, so now I want to do stay. I'm going to try this marker on here. Yep, okay. I like to mix handwriting and letter stickers or mix fonts when I can. I just think it makes it a little bit more interesting. So this is just a Sharpie that I did those with. I'm going to try to tuck this right under there. Okay. So now this is going to give me a spot to add the date if I want, which I probably will. And now the rest of, actually probably this one. This paper here, it was just a leftover card from that kit. I think I will cut the stripes and put them here with my journaling because that'll go nicely here. And I don't know if I'll do any other embellishments. I might think about it a little bit and throw some other embellishments on here. But for now, I'm going to let it sit, think about it because I'm not sure. Like I said, I sold all my Halloween stuff, so I don't have any more. I don't have any Halloween embellishments, but I might think of something that I want to add here. I could always go through these cards and see if there's anything that would work. But for now, I think I'm happy with that. A very colorful, watercolor, messy kind of card. But I definitely recommend, if you like this idea, give it a try with any of your punches and create a stencil with it. If you have watercolor paper, punch it out of watercolor paper so that it's a little bit better at holding up to all the ink and water that you're going to put on it. And you